Hi. Welcome to How to Feel Less Mom Guilt. My name is Kristen Vassar. You can find me on Instagram at Reimagining Mom if you're a mom and you want some support. A little bit about me is I have three children. I have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. And I also am a teacher. I'm starting my 19th year this year, and I am a life coach. I coach moms on how to find more balance in their life and how to be an amazing mom, but still take care of themselves. Something I think that a lot of moms get held back from having an amazing life is mom guilt. So, I'm going to teach you how to feel less mom guilt so that you can create the life that you truly want. Let's go. Okay. So, first, let's start with why do we feel guilt? Um, we all feel it, especially moms. And it comes from our thoughts. We feel any feeling that we have because of a thought that we're having. And all feelings, they're not good or bad. They just give us information. If we pay attention to them, then we can use our feelings to help us. Um, Sometimes guilt is actually a helpful emotion. It can keep us or our children safe. It helps us to be better in our relationships. So, like, we don't just act like a jerk and not feel badly about it. We act like a jerk, we feel bad, and then we try to do better next time or we apologize. And it helps us to fix our mistakes. If we do something that we feel guilty about, we try to figure out, okay, what can I do next time to not do that again? Our thoughts that produce mom guilt, they come from our own made up ideas. So they just come from our head. They come from our friends and family's ideas and society's ideas of what a good mom should and shouldn't do. And what I'm going to teach you is how to decide which thoughts you want to keep and which thoughts are really not working. They're not serving you and they're not serving your family. So, okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is what happens when we feel guilt. So what is it that we do as moms when we feel guilt? The first thing is we avoid it. We might isolate ourselves. So we're like taking ourselves away from the people that we love. We might shift our focus to something else. And a lot of times what we shift our focus to are things that are not really serving us in general. So we might scroll on Instagram. We might stay up late, watch Netflix. We might eat food that we didn't plan to eat. We might drink when we weren't planning to drink, go shopping. So, avoiding our emotions makes us do other things that usually, if we do too much of that, we don't really like the result of. Um, Something else that we do as moms when we feel guilt is we go back on what we said. So this might look like allowing your child to do something you know that isn't best or that you don't want them to do. Like, let's say you're like, oh, this always happens in my life. When we go somewhere, my kids always are like, can we get Dunkin' or can we get McDonald's? And let's say I say no, and then they say something or do something, and I feel guilty because of it. And then I go and I get the McDonald's. So it makes me like go back on, like, I didn't want to spend the money and I didn't really want them to be eating McDonald's. So it makes you go back and just like allow them to do something you didn't really want them to do in the first place. You don't do an action so you don't feel guilt. So, for example, you don't go out with your friends to avoid feeling guilty. You show up out of duty and not out of love. Like, so let's say your kids are like, Mom, can you play Barbies with me? And you like really don't want to play Barbies, but you feel guilty not playing with them. And you sit down to play with them and you're like, oh, Ken. You're like mad at Ken and just throwing things around. You're like not having as much fun as if you actually wanted to play Barbies with them. Um, so, yeah, and another thing we do when we feel guilt is that we criticize ourselves with negative self talk. So we tell ourselves we're not a good mom, our kids are going to hate us, just like whatever it is that you say inside your head. And then another thing that we do as moms is we become agitated with our children when we feel guilty. And like we don't like that feeling of guilt inside of us. Like for me, it's in my stomach and I don't like it. But when you don't like a feeling that's inside of you, you just want to get it out. And a lot of times it comes out in like yelling at your kids or like slamming things or whatever it might be, stomping around. And then we feel guilty because we're acting that way. So it's like completely a vicious cycle. These are the actions that we take when we feel guilty. And when we do these actions again and again, they create results in our lives. So here are the big results that we could be creating in our lives when we feel guilty a lot. So we do a lot of things we don't want to do, and we miss things we do want to do. This eventually will lead to resentment of our partners, of family members, and eventually our children. So never like going with what your wants and your desires are and like constantly doing what's best for everybody else, it leads to resentment. And if you've ever felt resentment, it's a horrible feeling to have. And then you don't show up in out of love for whoever you feel resentful towards. Um, we ignore our needs as a human. So if we keep ignoring our needs as a human to take care of ourselves, like that might look like working out, hanging out with your friends, going on a date night, doing a craft, reading, just being alone. If we keep ignoring it, then eventually we can become physically ill or mentally ill. And then you're not going to show up as you want to as a mom anyway. So let's say you ignore your needs again and again and again, and then eventually you become anxious or depressed. Like you're not going to be able to be the best mom that you can be. Or let's say you get sick because you're staying up all night working on something for your kids and you're not sleeping. You're going to eventually get sick. So that is a huge result that occurs with moms that I see all the time. Like you're just not happy because you're not taking care of yourself at all. And then another thing that happens is that our self-confidence as a mom is lowered. So when you're like beating yourself up, or when you keep going back and forth on what you said with your kids, you start to think like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not a good mom. We doubt our decisions. So like we make a decision and then we spend all this time doubting ourselves, which drains all of our mental energy. We're constantly asking other people for advice. And we don't show our children what a strong woman is capable of when we're doing all of these things. So let's find out how to not always feel guilty. Okay. So hopefully you can see with those results that feeling guilty over and over and over again is not what you want. So I have a process that I'm going to show you, and then we're going to practice it with you so that you can kind of like go through the process yourself. Okay. So here's just the overall process. On the next couple slides, I'm going to give you examples of each because it might be a little bit confusing. So bear with me. So when you feel guilty, so get used to knowing where guilt is in your body. Okay. So when you feel it, say, oh, I feel guilty right now. And then ask yourself, why? Okay. Ask yourself, why do I feel guilty? The answer is the thought that's causing you to feel guilty. Okay. Then ask yourself, is that thought true? Do I want to feel guilty about this? Okay. If the answer is yes, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to create a plan to change the behavior. So the guilt is giving you information. I don't want this to happen anymore. So next time I'm going to do this. Look at it as a teaching moment and don't beat yourself up. Remind yourself that you're a human and humans make lots of mistakes. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you get used to doing that, you are teaching your children it's okay to make mistakes and they're not going to beat up on themselves. Okay, so this is huge. It's okay to do something wrong. It's okay to feel guilty. It's not okay to beat yourself up. It's better to just do something different next time. Acknowledge it. If the answer is no, ask yourself, why do I think this? Okay? So why do I have this thought in my head? Where does it come from? Is it from my own brain? Did I just make it up? Is it something that society keeps telling me? Did my friends or family tell me this? Did my mom tell me this when I was growing up? I saw her doing something. Or did you just see somebody on Facebook who's doing something with their kids and you're thinking, oh, good mom should do that, right? So where is it coming from? Because sometimes we might be like, oh, it's coming from some weird person on Facebook who I hardly even know. Like, why am I feeling guilty because of what they're doing? That has nothing to do with me. And then ask yourself, what else is true? What do I want to believe? So, from your list of what else is true, ask yourself, what is it that I actually want to believe? Then keep returning to the thought you want to believe. So, again, I know it's kind of confusing. I'm going to show you with a couple of examples. Okay. So, the first one, the thought, I shouldn't have yelled at my kids just because they were fighting. So, your kids are fighting with each other, you yell at them, and then you feel guilt. And you ask yourself, why do I feel guilty? And you think, good moms don't yell. Okay. Ask yourself, is this true? I mean, it's not really true that good moms don't yell because sometimes you have to yell. But what might be true is that you don't want to be a mom who yells at my kids when they fight. So, like, your kids are fighting, you don't necessarily have to yell at them. You can handle it differently. So then you're going to make sure you tell yourself, because you want to kind of like bring the temperature down. You want to tell yourself, I'm human and I feel upset when they fight. Like, maybe you're just hearing them yelling and it just really, really bothers you. Or maybe you feel sad that they're fighting because you want your kids to get along. Or maybe you just have trouble when people are fighting around you because of your past. Like, whatever it is, like, it's okay. It's okay. All right. My old pattern is to yell when I feel upset, but I want to change that. Like, acknowledge, like, that's how I learned when I was growing up. It's okay, but I want to do something different. When you beat yourself up, you're not going to make a change. You're just going to hide from it. Okay? But when we allow our mistakes, we're able to make changes. Next time my kids are fighting, so what will I do next time? Next time my kids are fighting, I can separate them or walk away if they're safe, or give myself a minute to calm down and then go talk to them. So I'm going to get myself in a good place so that I can help them deal with whatever it is they're fighting about. Okay, so here's an example of you feel guilty because you're yelling. You don't want to be a mom who yells all the time. And you're not going to beat yourself up, but you want to try to do something different next time they're fighting. And you might have to keep doing this again and again and again. And that's okay because our behavior patterns take a while to change. All right. So let's say you feel guilty and you say, oh, why do I feel guilty? And you realize you feel guilty because your kids asked you to play with them. You said no because you need to make dinner and clean up the kitchen before it gets too late. And then you feel guilty because you told them no. Okay? Now, ask yourself, why do I think this? Okay? Why do I think that I should play with my kids more? Then, whatever the answer is, but here's my example. I see so many Instagram reels about the importance of playing with your kids. I've told myself that it's important for a mom to do. Okay, so you have this belief, you have this thought that you should play with your kids more. That's what's causing you to feel guilty. Okay, just acknowledge where it came from, what the thought is. Then ask yourself, what else is true? It's also true that I do crafts with them and take them to the park a lot. Okay, so maybe you're like, you don't like to play, like you don't like to go outside and play tag and basketball, whatever. You don't like that, but you like doing crafts and you like taking them places. Okay, acknowledge that. It's also true that I work all day, that I keep my kids fed and clothed and safe. It's also true that my kids have each other to play with. So opening your brain up to other possibilities other than, I'm a bad mom if I don't play with my kids. What else is true? Okay. Then ask yourself, what do I want to believe? You have a choice. Do you want to believe you're a bad mom because you don't play with your kids? Do you want to continue to feel guilty all the time? We saw the results that happen when you feel guilty. Or do you want to believe something else? Do you want to take from what else is true and believe that? You could believe, if you want to, I'm a good mom who takes care of her children and spends time with them in many ways, but I don't always need to be on. I don't always have to say, yes, I will play with you. Sometimes I can say no because I have other things to do, or simply because I'm tired and I'm human and I want to take care of myself right now. Okay? Again, you see, you can believe either one. You get to decide. For me, I like to decide to not feel guilty most of the time. Okay. So now it's your turn. All right. So now this is where you're going to write some things down here. Okay. So write down, what is something that you often feel guilty about? So write that down. And you can pause me if you want to. I'm going to keep going. But is it helpful to feel guilt about this? Is it helping your children? Is it helping you? Do you want to keep feeling guilt about this? Okay. Yes or no? Do I want to keep it or no? If the answer is yes, that you think it's helpful, maybe it's keeping you safe or keeping your children safe or helping with a relationship, whatever it is, if you think it's helpful for you to feel guilty, okay, then you're going to write down, why is it okay that you did this? Whatever it is you feel guilty about, why is that normal? Why is that okay? And if you can't think of anything, the answer is because you're human. It's okay that whatever you did, you made a mistake because you're human and humans make mistakes. Okay? But maybe you have another reason why it's okay that you did it. Maybe you were really tired, or maybe you had a really long day. What will you do next time to change? So if your answer was yes, you're going to answer those two questions. What are you going to do next time? We're not going to beat ourselves up, but we're going to decide to do something else next time and write that down. If you've decided feeling guilty about this is not helpful to yourself or to your children, then you're going to answer these questions and write the answers down. Where did it come from? Where did that thought or that belief come from? And I'm sure the thought is, I should do this or I shouldn't do this. Where did that come from? Write it down. Then write down what else is true. Okay, and really look at it. What else is true? What do you want to believe instead? So take one thing from the list and that's your new thought. Just like in my example that I took, like I take care of my children and I do a lot of things with them. I don't always have to play with them. Okay, so take something from your list of what else is true and remind yourself of that. Okay, so go ahead and finish journaling. You can pause me if you need to. Okay. All right, so how are you going to practice this in your life? And I'm going to tell you, any change that you make in your life from a belief that you have sometimes it can take a long time. Sometimes it can take a lot of work, a lot of reminding yourself, a lot of journaling. Okay. So don't feel like after you took this class, you should change so quickly. Okay. Like be patient with yourself and just keep doing it over and over again. And I promise you, it really does work, but you have to do the work. You have to do the work for it to work. But anyways, I highly recommend knowing what it feels like inside of your body. And when you feel it, just start asking these questions. But what really helps too is just be like, I feel guilty. And just acknowledge that you feel guilty. Okay. Then ask the questions from the previous slides. Stay on top of your thoughts. Pay attention and question them. Make sure they serve you and your children. Okay. Don't just have a thought and believe it. Make sure you know what your thoughts are, know what feelings your thoughts are causing, and decide if you want to keep those thoughts or not. Okay. And some ways to get more in touch with your thoughts are journaling, so helpful, meditation, like time, space to just like clear your mind, having some alone time. I don't know about you, as a teacher, like, and mom, I'm with kids a lot. So I create space in my day to have alone time. It is at 5 a.m, but I love my alone time. I really do. And talking to a coach will all help you be more conscious of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. When you are talking to a coach, you're going to tell them your story, and he or she will come back and say, you just said this. Is that true? Do you want to keep that thought or not? And a coach will really help you question your thoughts and decide what you want to believe and what you don't want to believe. So, all right. Ways that I can help you personally on this journey is that you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook for weekly posts that will empower you as a mom. So instead of just letting your mom life happen to you, you are able to take back that power and decide how you want to show up. Okay. And that's basically, I post about lots of different things, anything. And I am just here to support moms as best as I possibly can. So if you just want to sign up and just get to know me and see the things that I'm posting, that is an amazing way to get started. And then also I offer free coaching, and I have two options that you can take. The first one is a quick 30-minute transformation call. So this is kind of like, you go to the food court at the mall and they give you a free sample, and you have a free sample of coaching. You get to know what coaching is like, and that's it. Another option is, this is for moms who want to make like a big change in their life and they want to feel like a completely improved and different person and show up different in like every single area of your life. That is a 90-minute deep coaching conversation. I highly recommend you sign up for either one. Both of them will be amazing for you. And both of them will be a gift that you give to yourself, because I'm willing to bet that in your life, there's very little time that you have one person sitting and listening to what you have to say and supporting you 100%. So that is such a good gift that you can give to yourself. If you would like to sign up, go right ahead. You can scan the QR code or you can click on the link. Okay. I really hope this was helpful. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I am here to answer them. If you wrote down your example and you want some help going through it, you had trouble, please reach out. That is why I'm doing this. That is what I'm here for. Okay. Take a deep breath. I want you to know overall, you're doing a way better job than you're giving yourself credit for. Okay. So you just have to start believing in yourself a little bit more. All right. Have a great day.